And sometimes we don't know if it's our intuition or if it's our mind. How do you know the difference?
I kind of like to say that you have to have a relationship with yourself where you kind of trust yourself a lot. Tapping into trusting of yourself because sometimes we're just unsure and it can kind of get us down a rabbit hole and we don't know if like, am I going crazy? A lot of us do have gifts. Talk how to put these gifts into manifestation, how to make them work for you. So I think a lot of this comes from faith in yourself and just trusting yourself at the end of the day, and being okay with being different. I think that's really a big thing too. Not wanting to be so heavily influenced to fit in because some of us just stand out. To be honest, a lot of celebrities do keep spiritual advisors around. They may not put it in the forefront. It may not be something that's really popular, but a lot of celebrities do have someone they kind of go through or go to for some type of guidance. So we're around, girl.
What's up, you guys? It's your girl Bianca B, and welcome to the Bianca B Show, where we talk about business, finances, and friendships. So I'm super excited about this podcast episode because it's a little bit different. I love astrology. I love tarot reading. I love spiritual people and healers and things like that. And so I'm super excited about Mama Red because she's super dope. She is a spiritual healer, a celebrity spiritual advisor, and an entrepreneur. And I kind of just want to tap in with her in regards to how can you tap into your spirituality and learn more about like Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, and all those different things. So Mama Red, how are you?
Hey girl, hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. So first off, I want to kind of get a backstory of when did you know you had this gift? Because I feel like sometimes you can be scared to tap into that.
Well, I had this gift for a while. I'm also a psychic medium as well. Um, my great grandmother and my grandmother, they're here from the South, child. So we kind of grew up a little bit different. Certain things that we were doing, we didn't even, it was, spiritual things. So I believe a lot of it came from my upbringing. I used to also be a celebrity nail tech here in Charlotte. So I had a salon. So what people would do would come get their nails done. And of course, I'll be holding the hands and looking into your eyes. And they'll start telling me certain things. And I'm just like, well, girl, I don't think you should do that. I just started like giving, just my honest advice about certain things. And some of my clients would take the advice, some of them wouldn't. But those who did take the advice, they would actually come back a few days later like, Red, I don't know how you knew this, but this really helped me out. Or I don't know um how this came about, but I'm so glad you told me about certain things. So it was just really me tapping into myself and just coming out to the surface of whatever information that I had. And a lot of the time it was very current. It was very accurate.
And sometimes we don't know if it's our intuition or if it's our mind. How do you know the difference?
I kind of like to say that you have to have a relationship with yourself where you kind of trust yourself a lot. Tapping into trusting of yourself because sometimes we're just unsure and it can kind of get us down a rabbit hole and we don't know if like, am I going crazy? A lot of us do have gifts and we just weren't really taught or taught how to put these gifts into manifestation, how to make them work for you. So I think a lot of this comes from faith in yourself and just trusting yourself at the end of the day.
What is your like for people who are religious and also spiritual, can you be both?
I can't speak for no one else, but I personally believe that you can be both. I still read my Bible, but I still may burn a bundle of sage. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have to have balance, and I feel like spirituality gives me a home outside of religion because religion has been so indoctrinated into us, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just know that I feel more freer in my spiritual practices, in my spiritual walk. And I'm personally okay with that. Some people will argue you down about the religious part, but I just think whatever leads you back to source energy, whatever leads you back to God, whatever leads you back to your ancestors, God, the goddesses, whatever's true for you, follow your path. I think that's really important.
And so let's go into like tarot readings. I love tarot readings. Like I
Yes.
sit and watch, but I also try to be careful of how much I watch.
Yeah.
So like, how did you get into tarot readings?
Well, I had a friend that she just put a deck of cards in my hand one day.
Mhm.
I used to get so drained because, like I said, I was doing like readings that I didn't know that were I'm actually facilitating for people. But once I got the tarot cards, it kind of gave me a tool to direct the energy through. Um, Tarot cards, it's if you're intuitive, you can kind of pick it up a little bit quicker versus you just like picking up a deck and just learning about it. But I think anyone can kind of tap into it. Once again, it goes back into your intuition. How do you feel about that divine voice within yourself? Are you willing to trust it? Are you willing to stretch that gift to say, hey, maybe I may be wrong, but I think it's more of a lifestyle
Mm.
when it comes to the tarot and things like that. And some people dip and dab. They may not, they may start doing readings or they may want to get into doing readings and they may not continue to do it after a period of time. So I think whatever works for you.
Got it. And like, what is the difference between Mercury retrograde? And I just found out about Venus retrograde. I didn't even know that was a thing either. So
That's a thing. Yeah.
what's the difference?
Okay, so Mercury retrograde is like the real popular one. It's actually when they're seeing that Mercury, which is the planet, is actually spinning in reverse from our view here on Earth. With this planet spinning in reverse, Mercury is over like communication, travel, technology. A lot of these things can kind of get warped, meaning you may have a flight and your flight may get delayed a couple of hours, delay in travel, delay in communication, delay in plans going forward. So it's more of a reflective time. You're not, a lot of people would advise that you don't do certain large scale um, launches or move forward with certain projects. You want to kind of reflect on things. And then once this planet goes back forward, goes back direct, you can kind of move forward with your plans and things that you kind of came out of that. So I think of the big reflection period versus Venus retrograde because it's really a thing, girl. Of course, the planet Venus is also quote unquote revolving backwards, is rotating backwards at that time, and this can kind of affect our love lives,
Yes.
our relationships. You kind of want to, reflect on why did I date this person, or what did I learn in this relationship when I'm my last relationship. You kind of want to reflect even on friendships. Venus also kind of, whatever what is it? Unions, any type of union that you had, because you may have even had lost a friend at that time. You kind of want to maybe reflect on what did this person bring to my life? What lesson did they teach me? It's a really reflective,
Got it.
reflective
Yeah.
period.
That happened to me recently. I was like, because I was thinking about somebody had texted me. It was a guy I was dating, and my friend was like, "Girl, it's Venus retrograde. Be
Oh
careful."
yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, I wanted to get into, the celebrity spiritual side of your Instagram. How do you know when to tap into which celebrities to talk about? Is it kind of risky with the content that you make when it comes to the tarot readings and your emotions?
Yeah, it could kind of be risky, but as always, if you know me, I always say alleged. You have to do things to cover your butt, girl, because certain things can be, walking the fine line with things. A lot of my clients and people, my fan base, they kind of be like, I'm read this story is popping this week. You should talk about it. So I kind of rely on my clientele, my fans to kind of point me in the direction of where they want to see. I'm ready, let's talk about this relationship or like da 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 da. Like they're very active. I have a very active base, but to be honest, a lot of celebrities do keep spiritual advisors around. They may not put it in the forefront. It may not be something that's really popular, but a lot of celebrities do have someone they kind of go through or go to for some type of guidance. So we're around, girl. We're around.
I love the spiritual community, and just like I really do love astrology.
I
And
love that. Yes.
so let's talk about family curses, because I definitely feel like that is definitely a thing. And I know you talk about return to sender. Kind of like, how do you feel when there's like a spiritual attack on you? Are there signs and symptoms, or only can a healer see that?
Well, some people do have supernatural things that kind of happen to them, and they don't really have anyone to talk to it about. So I think that does bring a lot of light to spiritual healers and spiritual advisors because we're kind of like the spiritual doctors of the community. We kind of can diagnose, like, hey, maybe you're under the evil eye. you're having some things happen to you that you're under, like, a generational curse where certain things are continuing throughout generations, and you're the actual one to break that curse in your family. So um I believe a lot of spiritual healers, we are somewhat trained
Mhm.
spiritually in that area because we kind of have worked with certain clients or a reputation of doing certain things over a period of time, and it ends up working.
Mm. And how did you know like that you can profit off this, and how do you know like when you're doing readings if you're really tapped in or not? Because a lot of people can get a reading from you and pay for it.
Yeah.
But say for example, you just like, I can't, I'm not into it. I can't fit. Is there ever that moment you can't feel it, or do you have to like tap it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is there ever a moment where like a person is paid for a reading, but you just can't tap in fully yet? Or do you tap in?
Um, Sometimes that does happen. It's kind of like far and in between.
Mhm.
I actually find a lot of times, a lot of those times, people are kind of going through a lot. And the information that I'm giving them, they may or may not be willing to receive at that time, and they kind of maybe block it off. But they end up, once they, as time progresses, they'll come back around like, "Hey, you told me this out of everything, and that really stuck with me." And it may be where just a certain thing may resonate with you. It may not be the full reading. It may just be a line that you hear at that time that you may be open to receiving. But yeah, it can happen where you're not really able to connect with someone's spirit guides, someone's energies, someone force, life force. So yeah, it happens.
And what are different types of spiritual psychics? So for example, I can speak for myself. I have a dream journal. I see things in my dreams like very vividly since a kid. But it's definitely something that's really, it can be scary.
It
Um,
can be,
it's very
yeah.
scary. Like there's been incidents where I always know where people are pregnant. I always know when people are going to get engaged. I've had like creatures in my dreams to where it means somebody is dead. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
real bad. Like my family has called me. I remember one time I had a dream about a family member, and it was like they went to jail, and I knew exactly what they went to jail for. And then
Wow.
5 days later, the family member called me and was like, I was like, oh, I know exactly what happened. And they were like, how did you know? Like,
Yeah.
and even as a kid, my grandma, she told me I saved her life because it was one day I had to like, I told my mom, I need to talk to my grandma. I need to talk to my grandma
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is one of those things where it's like, I feel like if I go to the other side, it it could be super scary. What advice would you give to people who have those gifts, who may be fearful of, you know, really tapping in?
Okay. I would suggest, like I said, I always say it, and I know it seems so cliche, but it's really about trusting yourself and believing in whatever that it is that is coming to pass, especially if it's coming to pass. Like you said that you were able to get some type of message about your the person in your family who went to jail. Is you tapping into that, and let me bring it to the surface. And whether it be wrong or right, at least I put that out there because that's what the message was that I received. I believe really trusting yourself and being around people who are what is it, encouraging of your gifts, because sometimes we can get stifled out about certain things, and there also is a thin line between some of these spiritual gifts and some of these mental tags that they kind of try to put on you too. So you don't want to, I think like trying to tread that line, it could be a little difficult, but trusting yourself at the end of the day is the best way for that, I would honestly recommend. And being okay with being different. I think that's really a big thing too. Not wanting to be so heavily influenced to fit in, because some of us just stand out. Some
Yeah.
people just have a knowing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of us who have gifts, but we
Mhm.
just weren't taught how to use them. We weren't, taught how to put that into action in the time of us. Like I thought that, and some of these things too is mentalism. We can think certain things and it'll just come to manifestation. So I think leaning into your gifts more, trusting them, exercising them as much as you can, standing on it, whether it be right or wrong, just giving yourself that room to be okay with whatever comes out from that.
Mm. And so what's the next for your brand? How can people get readings? What do you have planned?
Well, I have a spiritual boutique here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It'll be my 1 year anniversary next month. So I have like a big celebration I'm gonna be doing here at my store. Um, I'm actually having some things, quote unquote, with some reality things. I can't say too much, but possibly some reality things are gonna be coming to the forefront. Um, More so doing more things where I'm building community because a lot of people want somewhere that they can kind of, be different and be accepted and be like, oh, okay, well, someone else thinks like me. I'm not crazy. So building a community is next for me too, and just creating a safe space for people to be authentically them.
Yeah. And where can people follow you and your website?
My website is vibesfrommamared.com. There you can book your readings, your spiritual consultations, and get spiritual products. I'm really big on Instagram. My Instagram is Vibes from Mama Red at Vibes from Mama Red, VIBESWITHMAMAREDD. It's really long, I know. It's the same thing for TikTok as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.